December 2022 was a very bad month for Logan Paul. Over the course of a week, Coffeezilla, a YouTube investigative journalist, released a 3-part series exposing Logan's NFT project, CryptoZoo, a play-to-earn game where you breed animals into hybrids of each other. Coffee interviewed several people who invested in the project, and the things they had to say were shocking. They claimed the game simply didn't work as advertised, and that Logan and his team abandoned the project, leaving them with nothing but a worthless NFT. The amount of money they said they lost ranged from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. Many of them were fans of Logan who trusted him when he said this project was going to be the next big thing, but it wasn't long before they realized they made a big mistake. Millions of people saw Coffee's documentaries within days of release, and seemingly overnight, all eyes were on Logan Paul. People wanted answers, and Logan had no choice but to respond. After some back and forth tweets with Coffeezilla, Logan announced he'd be responding to the allegations on January 3rd, 2023. This gave him ample time to really think and consider what he was going to say, but the video Logan released only made things worse. Rather than apologize and show genuine remorse, he instead chose to attack Coffeezilla, calling into question his credibility as a journalist and the accuracy of his research.
You see, Coffeezilla tried to work with law enforcement in the past, but his work was described as not anchored to truth and often speculative. He is a lopsided journalist with an agenda, and he's nothing more than the Keemstar of crypto and finance. Although you didn't verify any backgrounds, substantiate any evidence, took multiple criminals' words as truth, and broke laws, you still published the defamation.
This was Logan's opportunity to acknowledge his mistakes and take responsibility, but he squandered it. He even went as far as threatening to sue Coffeezilla over the videos. And although he said he hasn't abandoned CryptoZoo and the project will be released in 2023/2024, it all just felt like too little too late. The following day, an episode of Impulsive was released where Logan went in more depth about the situation. Those that weren't impressed with the scripted and rehearsed video he released on his main channel were eagerly waiting for what he had to say. Mike said he'd play devil's advocate and ask Logan the hard questions, but what actually happened was very different. I mentioned in a recent video of mine that Mike had become a favorite on the podcast lately and spoke about the rough time George has been having as well as his decline in popularity. But in this episode, the roles were reversed. Despite saying he'd asked the tough questions, Mike hardly asked any and mostly just defended Logan, so much so that he was called out in the comments for being nothing more than a yes man. On the other hand, George got straight to the point, asking what all the fans were wondering but Logan had never addressed. He brought up how Logan had started 2 new crypto projects since CryptoZoo and explained how bad that makes him look in the eyes of the CryptoZoo holders and his fans.
And no disrespect, you look like a piece of shit to the people that are like, yo, fuck this guy sitting on millions of dollars, always trying to get attention, and now he doesn't give a fuck about us, so he's not gonna speak out about it until this other fucking dude's gonna speak out, and now this cocksucker is gonna talk now.
Logan responded saying it breaks his heart, but he had to stay silent on the situation because of an ongoing criminal investigation into members of the CryptoZoo team.
I had to stay silent, and for a fucking year, I'm hounding Jeff. How do we make this right? What's the status of the game?
But they don't see that. They don't see that. That's crazy.
The engineer stole the code.
What you may have missed there was a cut they made in the podcast after George's response.
But they don't see that. They don't see that. That's crazy.
The engineer stole the code.
This happened again multiple times, twice after George asked other hard-hitting questions. It's not often you see cuts in an episode of Impulsive, yet in the space of 5 minutes, there are at least 4. This frustrated many viewers who felt that Logan and his manager Jeff were tiptoeing around the issue. But honestly, it's not surprising. With how bad this situation is, Logan's very aware that his reputation is at stake, so he's carefully managing everything he says about it. He's under a microscope, and it's not just because of his crypto scam. Around the same time Coffeezilla's documentaries were released, an episode of Impulsive aired where Logan ruthlessly attacked Christianity. He completely disrespected George, who is a devout Christian, and did it without a second thought. Unsurprisingly, he got a ton of backlash, so people are after answers not only for the NFT scam, but also for this. Logan chose to address this in the same episode he spoke about CryptoZoo, apologizing to George for the things he said.
From the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry.
I appreciate that.
My attitude towards you on that episode and my belittlement of your beliefs was not appropriate at all. Not as a podcast host, especially not as a friend.
At least with this, he took responsibility, unlike with CryptoZoo. But in these situations, it's always hard to judge whether an apology is genuine or whether the person is saying they're sorry just to cover their own back. Although to some it might seem like a distant memory, it was just 5 years ago that Logan was cancelled on the internet for his Suicide Forest video. He knows how it feels to have everyone turn against him all at once, and he never wants to find himself in that position again. It took him over a year of hard graft to rehabilitate his image, so you can imagine the panic and distress he must have felt when Coffee released his series. Back when the Suicide Forest incident took place, Logan responded to it by releasing a teary-eyed apology video expressing regret over what he did.
I should have never posted the video. I should have put the cameras down and stopped recording what we were going through. There's a lot of things I should have done differently, but I didn't. And for that, from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry.
Although it was met with harsh comments saying he didn't really mean it and was just trying to save his career, he went on to make a video on suicide prevention and made a large donation to a related charity. This made it seem like he was genuinely sorry for what happened. However, as you've seen, he took a very different approach with the CryptoZoo drama, choosing to come out on the offensive instead. This didn't sit well with his audience and they made sure he knew about it. No apology, no accountability. Logan never fails to disappoint. He literally gave one of the worst responses you could possibly give. Various YouTubers posted reaction videos to Logan's response and their thoughts were much the same.
Coffee, you interviewed the developer who stole the game code, fled to Switzerland, and held it hostage for $1 million. Well, his name is Zach Kelling. Surely, as the internet detective that you proclaim to be, you would know that he spent time in prison for multiple felonies.
You hired him, idiot! He's like, the developer who fled with our code is a felon. You mean the guy you hired?
He's like, this guy that I hired to do scams on my audience? Well, that guy's a bad guy. Oh, sick, man. Okay.
So one guy robbed a liquor store with a gun. The other guy pretended to be an orphan. The third guy was just another scam artist from other previous cryptos. And then the main guy in charge of everything recorded dead people in a forest in Japan.
This is maybe the worst response video ever. It's gotta be up there.
At this point, things really weren't looking good for Logan and he knew it. Given how bad the reception to his video was, he likely realized getting into a firefight with Coffeezilla was only going to make his situation worse. So just 3 days after he posted his response video, he ended up taking it down. According to Coffeezilla, Logan called him, apologized, and said he'd be dropping the lawsuit threats. He also sent a message in the CryptoZoo Discord saying this: "Hey all, just wanted to update you. I deleted my initial response to Coffee's series. It was rash and misaligned with the true issue at hand, so I called him today and apologized. The war is not with Coffee. In fact, I'm grateful he brought this to light. I will be taking accountability, apologizing, and coming forward with a plan in the near future. Thank you all for believing in this project and sticking with me. I know it's been bumpy, but your support is everything to me and I will make this right." This was a move in the right direction for Logan, but honestly, he should have just responded like this in the first place. The fact he only did this after receiving a negative reaction to his response video just made it look like he was trying to avoid another situation like Suicide Forest.
He's been caught in an avalanche and I think he's like, again, I hate to use this word, but like traumatized from it, for lack of a better word. Like that fucking ruined him for a while. And I think he's like, I don't want to go anywhere near that again. I'll apologize, whoever the fuck I got to apologize for. I don't care. I can't have that happen again.
At this point, things died down for a couple days while people waited for Logan to post about his new plan. But sadly for him, in this time, yet another controversy cropped up. On January 9th, 2023, the Gentle Barn posted a TikTok explaining how they found an abandoned pig in a field. Apparently, she'd been found with another pig who had passed away. She had tattered ears and a potentially life-threatening infection in her uterus, which has since been healed. The pig's name is Pearl and she used to belong to Logan. The Gentle Barn said people often buy mini pigs or teacup pigs for clout online, believing they will stay small. When they inevitably grow very large and have many unexpected needs, they're sadly discarded. Logan has a history of purchasing pets and using them as a feature for his vlogs. He had turtles, dogs, and a parrot named Maverick, which became the name and logo of his clothing brand. His pets were a big benefit to his brand. His audience loved them and it seemed like he was always getting a new one, but it became clear Logan wasn't fit to give them the care they needed. His dog Ginger ended up killing his parrot Maverick, and his pig Pearl developed depressive symptoms due to her being neglected.
And after Pearl grew too big to be easily transported around his yard or his home to make content, she was exiled to a pen at the back of Logan's backyard. And then he noticed that Pearl seemed to be depressed. She was exhibiting some lethargic behavior, so he decided to get her a companion. And that companion was his second pig that he named Piggy Smalls.
After Logan moved from LA to Puerto Rico in 2021, he rehomed Pearl and Piggy Smalls. However, several months later, when their new owners were moving out of state, the pigs escaped their enclosure.
And when they went looking for them, they found Piggy Smalls dead. He had been killed by coyotes. Fortunately, they were able to find Pearl alive.
Eventually, Pearl was rehomed by the Gentle Barn, and when this news story broke, it gave people even more reason to hate on Logan. He posted on Twitter to deny that he irresponsibly rehomed the pigs, saying, "Pearl was rehomed to an amazing ranch that I visited in Santa Clarita when I moved to Puerto Rico. I was unable to bring her to the island. She lived there happily for 10 months before the owner sold the ranch. She was rehomed without my knowledge to a farmer across the street. As far as I know, know, the farmer called the gentle barn to pick her up and denies there was a second pig. Pearl was transferred alone. This is an incredibly heartbreaking situation. I had Pearl for 2 years. Clearly the stories don't match up, which raises more questions about what actually happened. But even if Logan was telling the truth, news of a pig he owned turning up sick, abandoned, and with mangled ears just made Logan look like even more of a bad person. So when he published his 3-step plan for CryptoZoo 3 days later, you can bet he was praying for a good reaction. He announced that he intends to 1. Burn all his and his manager Jeff's Zoo tokens, which basically means they'll have no financial upside in the game and it will add value to holder tokens. 2. Commit $1.3 million of his own money to a reward program for holders who want to get out. And 3. Finish and deliver the game. He ended the video by apologizing to his audience and thanking Coffeezilla for his investigation.
I'm sorry, guys. I apologize for how this has unfolded thus far, and I want people to know that they can trust me and that I'll always take care of the fans and people who support me. And lastly, thank you, Coffeezilla. You have catalyzed this, and I am very grateful for your work and your investigation, and I mean that. Thank you, bro.
People have mixed opinions on whether he meant the apology or not, but I think it's pretty clear that him thanking Coffeezilla was not genuine. Still, it was good to see Logan taking at least some accountability. 6 days later, on January 19th, Coffeezilla published his final video on the CryptoZoo saga. He went through Logan's initial threatening responses, his subsequent backtracking, and his 3-step plan for CryptoZoo. While he did praise Logan for putting money forward to reimburse victims, he also poked a lot of holes in his plan. The biggest of which was that even though it sounded like a lot, $1.3 million would not be nearly enough to cover investor losses. Additionally, those that sold their CryptoZoo tokens when it appeared the project had been abandoned will get no compensation. I suggest you watch Coffee's video to get the full breakdown, but there's one thing I'll mention that undermines everything Logan is doing. Coffee went through the CryptoZoo Discord and came across several messages that suggest Logan isn't as sorry as he's portraying himself to be. The most damning of these messages was something he said after cryptically telling people not to invest in the project. I will no longer be the scapegoat for anyone's financial decisions.
He doesn't seem to see anything wrong with advertising a game that will make you money, it never delivering, millions of dollars being stolen by criminals he hired, and then when all of those people want their money back, he feels like he's the scapegoat.
The uncomfortable truth is, had it not been for Coffeezilla exposing this scam, Logan would most likely not be doing the things he is right now. It took public outrage and a threat to his own reputation and career for him to do what's right, which makes it hard not to question Logan's morals and integrity. Yes, he said he always intended to release the game, which may or may not be true, but he definitely didn't intend to refund investors like he is now.
But it's just so frustrating when the good that Logan seems to be doing, he's doing the bare minimum of at the last possible second with motivations that seem to be, in the proper context, irreparably tainted by self-interest.
What matters most now is that the people who bought into CryptoZoo and lost their hard-earned money are rightfully compensated. At the end of the day, they are the real losers in all of this. A YouTuber named Attorney Tom released a video explaining that he's representing a significant number of CryptoZoo holders and he'll be taking legal action against Logan and the CryptoZoo team.
After weeks of investigation and speaking to a significant number of CryptoZoo victims, we've taken legal action against CryptoZoo Incorporated, Logan Paul, Daniel Strobel, Jeff Levin, Eddie Ibanez, and Jake Greenbaum.
One of the clauses in the CryptoZoo contract is a class action waiver, which prohibits individuals from joining together in a group to pursue legal action. This means if a dispute arises, then each person must pursue their claim individually.
So because these clauses are in place, there is a situation in which we may have to go to Delaware and arbitrate case after case after case, and that is something we are prepared to do.
For Logan, this likely means that the CryptoZoo drama won't be going away for a very long time. And not only that, but he'll also be paying a shit ton in legal fees. I guess that's karma for you. Without a doubt, Logan messed up big with CryptoZoo, and he should have taken responsibility for the project's failure from the very beginning. All we can do now is hope that he follows through on his word and builds CryptoZoo into what it was supposed to be.